into the advisory now, and advice is evolving, but questions remain around its value, the difference between general and personal guidance, and how clients can approach wealth management. Katrina Pulbrook from RJS Wealth Management joins me now. Katrina, great to have you on your first time on ausbiz. I mean, we need to see more female advisors as well. What are you seeing in terms of how advice has been changing over the years?
That's a fantastic question, and thanks very much for having me. Advice has changed quite a lot over the last 20 to 30 years. I've been in the industry about 27 years and I've seen huge changes. It's become very regulated now and very educated, and the difference for the consumer now is that everything that's done is in their best interests. So we look at all sorts of different areas. Advice is not just about investing, it's about cash flow planning, it's about debt management, amortization, it's about structures, tax effectiveness, who holds the investments and why. It talks about personal asset protection and also estate planning and protection as well for the next generations. And this has culminated in a strategy document called a Statement of Advice, which we put together. So because of the education levels now, it's very, very important to keep the consumers safe, and therefore, as they go through this process, they get a lot of education along the way as well, so they know exactly what's going on.
We talked to a lot of advisors on ausbiz, Katrina, and some have brought up the thought that if you don't think you can afford advice, there are other tools as well. I mean, some people even go to AI or ChatGPT, but in your view, what's the major difference between general advice and personal advice, particularly when it comes to taking care of your wealth, which is, of course, our biggest assets?
Oh, look, absolutely. General advice, the simple thing, it's free. You can Google it, you can get advice from someone else, you can get a product provider, they will give you general advice. The onus of this particular advice is on you. You have to choose whether or not this is suitable for you. Is this going to give you the long-term returns that you're expecting? If it's the correct structure, some people open up trusts and self-managed super funds to do specific sorts of investments. It's really, really important to get professional experience involved in this to make sure you don't make a mistake, because it compounds over years. Personal advice, you pay for that. You actually pay for personal advice, but the intrinsicness of everything that's done, including all of the projections that we put together, if something goes wrong, if it's inappropriate, there's recourse. We're under a lot of ethical rules about do no harm, the same as doctors actually, except we're working on money, not your body. So because of that, it's quite important to understand the difference quite clearly.
Now, one of the other factors that we're facing is some of the biggest or the biggest intergenerational wealth transfer on record. What are some of the sticking points you see here?
I think it's just a lack of education for everyone. The key thing is that parents need to get their children involved at some stage so the children understand exactly how everything is laid out. This may mean coming into having appointments with the advisors such as myself, so they understand their parents' situation and they also understand who to turn to in the future. So if something goes wrong, it's about turning to the right professional to do the right thing. Also, for children, it could be, when parents die or relatives die, sometimes it's just like Tat's Lotto. So they're quite happy to collapse everything and just basically take all the money and walk away. But there are better ways to do this, and there are ways that you can hold things in the different structures whereby it gives you an annuity going forwards into the future. Parents need to involve their children way before they get sick and they die, just so they can actually see that it is a continuation of wealth.
Yeah, a lot of conversations, hard conversations perhaps, that need to be happening well before. There's also big growing separation divorce rates. How does that play in, and particularly when you're looking at intergenerational wealth transfer, perhaps the parents trying to protect their children from partners if they're facing divorce as well?
Well, I tell you what, the divorce and separation rate is only going up. And one of the key things that we don't want to do is save and expect our children and our grandchildren to be able to inherit everything. And then, over time, there's a separation of family law, a decision, and half the wealth that we thought we were giving to the children is drifted off into another family, or perhaps controlled for the grandchildren by another family. So once again, structures come very much into play, and we need to look at prior to dying and after dying. And it's not nice to talk about dying, but it's very, very relevant. And also, if we're giving any money or lending any money, how to do that so it just doesn't disappear. And there's a lot of structures that we can put in place to stop this from happening. Plus, we work not only with accountants, but also with solicitors to make sure we all team up to make sure this works for the parents, and also for the children who happen to maybe go through that sad situation of a split relationship.
And not to make things about gender, but there does seem to be fewer women often seeking advice. Why do you think that is? Why do you think women are putting off seeing a financial advisor, and what do you think needs to change?
Well, that's a really interesting question, because I'm a woman, I'm a financial advisor. There isn't very many of us, which is a bit disappointing, because it's such a fantastic career to have and help people out. But in general, I find that women really concentrate on the risk of a decision. So risk, that word itself sounds dangerous. It sounds scary. It's like if we're driving down the freeway and we could have an accident, but we're controlling that risk because we're driving the car ourselves. Any decisions that women specifically want to make, they want to make sure that they're highly educated in that decision and they have control of it. So the risk of doing nothing is there, and a lot of women don't. They put their head in the sand for a very long period of time. So it's about stepping up and going, you know what, I need to work out what my business plan for my wealth is for the future, and find the appropriate person and step up and get hold of them. There's so much to learn, but I find it's very exciting when I empower women to make their decisions. They feel completely home. It's not about not spending money. Goodness me, please spend money. The economy needs it. But it's really about making sure that they can have a sense of ease. And the more educated they get, and the more in control of everything that they're doing, and they have every dollar working in the right way and everything structured so it's tax effective and protected, there's such a level of confidence going forwards into the future on that.